For the delay. We're 10 minutes late, which means we have 10 minutes less to present, so I hope we can get through it all. First, before we get started, if you have a yellow paper that also has a C on it, I'm going to need you to come up to the front, please. And I know there's 4 of you, so you can't ignore it.
Mira la pantalla, mírala. Ahí. O la muevo donde están haciendo eso. Mira la pantalla y avísame.
All right, everybody. And more technology problems.
No, I think you can try clicking it.
We did.
We did.
I did it.
Okay.
There.
What is Operation Smile? Click the video.
No le dé para el lado.
Yeah.
Click the video.
And
Okay, we're a non-profit organization that is in 32 countries. And we do reconstructive surgery. So far, we've operated more than 200,000 patients and have performed successful and comprehensive patient evaluations for more than 3.5 million patients. Operation Smile is a life-changing organization. We change the lives of these patients because of how we do it and why we do it. And one of the main components of how we do it is through students such as yourself.
We as a club work mostly with awareness, but we also do things such as collect funds. Here in the Dominican Republic, we have a special role where, since we have missions here, we ourselves work in these missions, and we're actually the main source of volunteers for the missions. So not just Carroll Morgan School, but other schools around the country as well. We also attend conferences, which us three and other members of the club have also attended. Some of you may have heard of ISLC, International Student Leadership Program conference. We also help organize all kinds of events where there was all kinds of charity events where organize comedy nights, whatever, and we're available in case of any emergency, any kind of thing that the main office needs, from paperwork to technological filing to whatever, really.
Okay. So now we have an activity. Can we have 2 volunteers?
yeah, right over here.
You. Can you stand right here?
Yes. Water. And I guess you can.
Stand up.
All right. So this is a race.
It's water.
You guys have to drink the water as fast as you can through the straw. Only through the straw.
Through the straw.
Go, go.
Okay, thank you to our 2 victors. You are awesome. Can we go back and sit down? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, if we could have our 4 people that we call up to the front come up. How have you felt for the past 10 minutes?
How did making you sit on the floor?
What was it like trying to drink the water?
What?
It's painful.
How was it?
I don't know. It was the straw was interesting. It had holes in it.
Yeah, but how did it feel to drink the water?
Because like the holes and all the different, like, it was
No,
hard.
it was frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel the way we were treating you when we were presenting? Weird? Okay. So, with that, a very big round of applause to our non-volunteers who had to go through all of that. Yeah, okay. So, we have been purposely avoiding the question of what we do at Operation Smile because we wanted to show how important the work that we do is. The Post-it notes that you have right now signify your economic status. So if you have a yellow Post-it note, it means you're poor, and if you have a pink Post-it note, it means you're rich. This is in the general sense of the word. We didn't put a dollar value on it, just in general. As you may have noticed, when we called up for our second volunteer for the regular straw, we asked for any volunteer in the audience, even if you have a C on your paper and you're rich, even if you're poor. We were trying to show that the difference of being a poor child with a cleft lip or a cleft palate affects you more than being just poor or just having a cleft palate or a cleft lip. So what a cleft lip is when instead of your lip connecting as it does a lip, it goes up all the way to your nose or up slightly like in this case. It can be unilateral or bilateral, meaning that one sort of upwards or connecting on both sides. The cleft palate is when, if everybody could just touch the tongue to their roof of their mouth for me. Like this. You're touching something. That's the entire concept. When you have a cleft palate, there's nothing there. It's a hole. And so the problems that, so you can see in this diagram exactly how it is. The problems with the cleft palate and a cleft lip is that they're very obvious deformities that affect your everyday life. You can't eat, you can't drink. It's very difficult to talk, and people treat you very differently. And many cultures around the world where people don't understand what this deformity is, they think it's because the devil is inhabiting the child. They think they're lesser as a person. They won't let them go to school. They'll even bench them from the community and from the family. So fixing a cleft palate and a cleft lip can improve a child's life a million times. Instead of being an outcast in society and not being able to do things like talk and drink a glass of water, they can actually just function as a normal being. There's no known cause for cleft palates and cleft lips. It's not a genetic disorder. It's not from environmental conditions. It seems to be random. 1 in 700 kids around the world is born with a cleft palate. And the thing is as you notice, none of the kids that were rich and were also a C, which meant you had a cleft lip or a cleft palate, had any difficulty. We didn't bother them. They were able to drink the water if they wanted to. And the thing is that it's a really, really easy surgery to do. It only costs $240 and it takes about 45 minutes. So it's a really, really easy thing to do something that will change someone's life forever.
So, okay, you have 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes.
Okay, you can just talk amongst like a group of 5 and think of like 5 different things that what you think makes a good club.
Let's say 2 minutes, really good.
Just about 2 tables.
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
time.
So, organize. Love leadership.
Not do it like
So I haven't.
And let's wrap up. Sorry. Like we said, we're running 10 minutes short on time. We're trying to count where we can.
So if you guys could, like, by starting here, give us at least 1 or 2 people to talk about.
Sure. We had dedication and like good relationship with the
Super good. Was there another group at this table?
Yes. We need a leader, dedication, and maybe passion for what you do.
Good. All right. This is a group.
They basically said it, but also like organize people that know what they have to do and
staff.
We also need good chemistry, so everybody knows what to do.
Nice. Over here.
We,
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
go for it.
you also need dedication. You have to want to do it.
You have to be like persistent and constant.
Great. Over here.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Very good.
Okay. So a lot of you said most of what's on this list, but willingness and the support of his members is one of the most important, because you need to be willing to want and to be able to do and help the club. So for the club to go on, you just need the support of its club members and have them be involved and feel like they're contributing to the club. Another is the club structure. A lot of this goes around our school. Like, we have our top people and then our officers, and that helps the club go along because people know what they're supposed to do and who they're supposed to ask and who's like the point person for that club. And create a plan for each meeting and every year. That way you know you have goals, and what you have to do each meeting is to go for that goal and try to achieve that goal. So that way you keep everything on track. And be passionate. A lot of you said passionate, and that is a key part, because to be passionate, and a lot of these people in this club are so passionate about what they do, and that's why this club is such a great thing in this school, because they're passionate about it, and that's how they help so many people. And a good relationship with the administration of your school also helps. So that way you can get lots of fundraisers in and like bake sales, and that way they know that you're serious, and that way you can help your club go along.
Okay. So how do we raise funds? We go to TV shows and other media programs in order to raise awareness and raise funds for our program. We do bake sales. We also had the comedy night that Fred mentioned. This was done by the Ashton Schools Club. There are another school that has Operation Smile in the country. They had a party with music and a comedian that went, and that helped raise a lot of funds. We also planned our first Upatón this year. Right now we're planning a golf tournament that was taking place this weekend. We also have sales in different malls around the country. We sell Operation Smile themed items. We also created this Donaciones de Pago. It's an easy way to raise funds. So you can make little races. It's by your phone. And we also help find sponsors for Operation Smile. That's another picture of us doing stuff.
So as Fred mentioned, a lot of us have been to this conference called the International Student Leadership Conference, and he'll tell you a little bit more about how our partnership with Operation Smile works, because Operation Smile is an already existing international organization, and we're a student club at our school, and we are separate entities, and he'll get all into that. But at this conference that we went to, we started this club 3 years ago, and after the first year, we went to this conference, and we realized that we were focusing very heavily on the fundraising part, and we were doing a really good job for our first year, but we were lacking slightly on the awareness part. And awareness is a pillar of Operation Smile student clubs, and it's something that is really important, especially in a country like this one. There's a lot of Operation Smile clubs in the United States where awareness isn't quite as important, but in a country like the Dominican Republic where the surgeries are performed and the medical missions happen, it's really important to spread the word that this organization exists so that we can operate on as many people as possible. So during our second year, we had the idea for an Operation Smile Week. And the really great thing that we had about this was the timing, because we locked down the first week in December, and this goes again with what Luis was saying about having a good relationship with the administration, because December is the ultimate time to get your message across. So people are feeling good, they want to give back, they want to help people. It's the perfect time to do anything for a good cause. So we got the first week in December. We have an assembly on the Tuesday of the first week of every month. So what we did is on Tuesday morning, we did an activity much like we did with our 4 non-volunteers, where one student in every classroom was given a bandana, and their teachers were told to treat them differently. They had to sit separate from everybody else. They were made fun of, they weren't allowed to answer questions, they were treated like inferior, like they didn't belong there. And it was really powerful because there's one in every classroom, so we got to spread the message to the entire high school in just 1 hour. And so at the assembly, we were the hosts of the assembly, which was directly after first period, and we got them to come up and talk about their experience. We also did an activity where we told everybody to raise their hand if they knew what Operation Smile was and what it did. And this is where we actually learned that most of our school didn't know what our club did. And so through this assembly, at the end of it, we knew that they actually knew what we were doing and what we were raising money for the past year. So during that week, other than that activity, we had a week-long fundraiser, which was a coin race, which is an activity where you have a big water jug for each grade, and you put in coins to be positive money and bills to be negative money. So if you put a 5 peso coin in, it would be +5. And if you put a 50 peso bill in, it would be -50. So you try to put the other grades down and you put your grade up. It's really fun, and it's a week-long activity, which is really great for raising awareness because it's something that's constant, that is over a period of a week, that people are talking about, that people are interested in, and it makes sure that their message is staying in your mind. We had a slightly condensed version of our Operation Smile week this week, since we know that people know about our organization, and our focus for the next year is to really raise awareness outside of the Carol Morgan community and really raise awareness into Santo Domingo and the people that we can affect reach with our club. And another thing we do for awareness, like Daniela was saying, was those big events that are not just at our school for raising money. It's not just a big set at the school, but it's a party in a place where a lot of people can come. It's an event at a mall where there's just people that we don't know coming up and learning about the organization. So those are the ways that we really spread the message about what Operation Smile student programs and what Operation Smile are.
All right, so Operation Smile is a separate organization. We started a club after Maggie and I had our first experiences with Operation Smile. There's a lot of benefits that come from partnering with a already existing organization, kind of like the opportunities that this organization gives you. Because, for example, if the organization didn't exist, we wouldn't have any missions to go to, or we wouldn't have any conferences to go to. So the opportunities that an already existing organization can give you are immense. We've traveled from anywhere from Denver to Washington, D.C., to Panama, to Beijing, which is really far away. So we've traveled to all of these different places and gotten all kinds of crazy experiences. She met Jackie Chan, I met Jessica Simpson. It was, yeah, true story. It was like, and things you learn at these conferences are amazing. I've met people from literally all over the world. With 500 people, there were over 40 countries. And they had all the flags, and you just saw like this huge square that represented basically the entire world. Or at least one country in each region of the world. And experiences like that are something that an organization, like the fact that they can give you that is amazing, and that you can experience all of those things. Depending on the type of organization, they can have some ups and downs depending on whether or not they like what kind of things you're using their names with. Like, for example, maybe they don't want you to do a bake sale, but we've never had that kind of experience with Operation Smile, because at least here in the Dominican Republic, the student sponsors, which is CENIS, that's right there, we have a great relationship with. So the fact that we get along, like I talk to them on a daily basis, or Daniela talks to them on a daily basis, or we have a group, and that like that gives us a chance to really like get along, and the fact that we get along, we get to do a lot more events because of our contact with the organization. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience, where I started Operation Smile when I was in 7th grade. It was that was back when I started. Thanks for sending that picture.
Just really wanted to make sure you noticed it.
Yeah. Basically, I was coming back from the United States for the summer, and a couple months earlier, my mom told me, because my grandfather was the one who first got involved before the mission started. So then my mom was like, oh, there's this medical mission going on, do you want to go? And I was like, all right. And I waited like 7 months and I completely forgot. And then I came back. And for the first time, I had never seen a cleft palate, cleft lip, any of that. So, and I never even heard of it until I went to the mission. So then I was a little shocked. And then, but then throughout that week, the mission week, I learned a lot about this country. Like, we live in a bubble, and that mission basically popped my bubble. The thing that probably marked me the most was the fact that on the first mission, I was walking with one of the kids, and I went around, and I was taking from station to station, from plastic surgeons to nurses to all that stuff. And the parent and I started talking, and like we really got along. And then by the time we got to hospital week, the parent actually, instead of giving the nurse the child, he gave me the child and said that I was the one that had to take care of it. I had to go into the surgery, watch the surgery. I gave the child back to the parent. The parent was crying. I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? I was like, it was something that really changed me, especially being in 7th grade. And then ever since then, I'm now in 12th grade. I've been to 9 missions. I've participated in all kinds of events of Operation Smile. I've been on the Latin American Council. I've traveled to all different conferences. And then in 10th grade, when I got back from when we started 9th grade, was when I first got back from my first conference. And then I talked to Maggie about it. And then she was like, oh, that sounds really fun. So then I couldn't go to the next conference, but she did, and it was in Beijing. This was when she went to China.
Just as a sidebar, I went to Beijing with 700 high school students, and I did not know what Operation Smile was. I'd never heard about it in my entire life, but it was crazy amazing.
Yeah,
But
and like she didn't know a single person that was there.
Yeah.
And then she came back, and as these conferences do, she was like, we need to do something. Because the conferences basically were to inspire you to change your environment.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience.
So then she came back, and then she was like, let's start a club. So I was like, let's. And then in 10th grade, that was when we started the first club of Operation Smile here in the country. And then being the first Operation Smile club in the country, we kind of had the first little bumps of how to work with the organization, how to get the people to come to the meetings, because we were sophomores. Like, who pays attention to sophomores?
all sophomores in the room.
Wow!
I'm sorry, sophomores, but let's be real here. Well, the challenge really came in where, like, we needed to get the word out. We wanted to get people to come to the meetings. We wanted to, like, really inspire people the way we were inspired. So we had to start getting missions going. We had to start getting events going. We started bake sales, videos, all kinds of stuff. And then our school became increasingly involved to the point where our principal considers it one of the main clubs in the school, where if anyone needs community service hours, usually they do it with us. And then now we've started to work with the organization to open other clubs in other schools. So now we're not only changing the lives of the people in our school, because going to one of these missions does change your life, trust me. We're changing the lives of the people we helped to give surgery to. We're changing the lives of people of our classmates, and we're changing the lives of the people who are in different schools as well, who now have the opportunity to go.
I think since we're running short on time, we have some personal experiences ready that we want to share, but we also really, really want to make sure that we have time for a question and answer period. So if you guys have any questions, please ask them, and yeah.
How do you fix the left palate from the kids? How do you fix it?
The palate is fairly flexible, so at least while they're young. So what they do is it's a 45-minute surgery where they put something in your mouth to keep it open, and then the plastic surgeon has to stitch it together. The cleft lip is a little easier. The lip is back, the palate's back here. The lip is a little bit easier where they just cut open the lip, and then they attach the two sides that are separate, and then it just leaves a little scar here, but sometimes you can't even see the scar.
Yeah,
The palate's flexible, so they can just sew it.
And most of the time with Operation Smile, we do have a lot of repeat kids, but there is oftentimes a scar left. But in countries like the United States and Canada, kids will get probably 10 or 12 surgeries throughout until they're 18, just to get all of the scar tissue and everything gone, and you can't even tell. But in countries like the DR, the when we can just fix it, basically, it changes everything so much. So it's such a big deal. So we try to do, and we do try to get kids back from multiple surgeries. I've seen the same kid on all 3 missions that I've been to, and it's just a wonderful experience. So we've had that experience too.
Yeah, they do lots of revisions. It's work based on priority. So if you've never had a surgery before, you're definitely getting a surgery. If you've had surgeries before, it'll be depending on the slots available.
We also have post-operative care that we have small groups of 20 students, patients that have already received surgery that come in to get revisions with surgeons.
Speech therapy.
Speech therapy, exactly.
Are all of you seniors?
No.
No, she's a sophomore.
That's why.
So,
Yeah.
about when most of your seniors are you leaving club to sophomores, or you're preparing
Yeah.
them in anyway?
The way.
So what we did, sorry, it's my baby, so I love talking about it. So all of our officers currently, we are the co-presidents since we founded it together. Danielle's our secretary. Our treasurer and vice president are not here right now, but they're all seniors. So this year we decided to start a junior council, and I'm actually glad you brought this up. We should have probably included this in the presentation. It's a really good idea because a lot of clubs are founded by a same grade level group of friends and people together. So we got some of our most dedicated members of the club, including Louisa and Carla, together to form a junior council. So there's 5 of them, and they range from freshmen to juniors. And next year we're going to hold elections where anyone can run for secretary and treasurer, but the vice president and president will be elected from those 5 group of people. And most likely all 5 of them will be the officers next year. So we're handing it over to them. And we have meetings. We meet on Tuesdays at lunch. And Mondays during break, we all meet together. And since we already know what we're doing and we don't have to plan for meetings, which is, we've been doing it for 3 years, so we know what we're doing, we tell them what we're thinking and what we do to plan so that they know what they need to do throughout the course of the year to get all the events that they need to get done.
The Monday breaks is kind of just like us telling them, all right, this is how we do this, this is what we need to do next, this is what's going on.
And on a sidebar, we have a student every country in Latin America has a student representative who's the leader of Operation Smile in their country. For the past year, it's been Frederick. For next year, it's going to be Daniela. So that way we have a liaison. Sorry, yes. That way we have a liaison with the organization. So we always know what the organization needs from us. And so Fred was always dealing with what the organization needs from us, and I was dealt with what the school needs from us. So we have that sort of compatibility.
Split responsibility.
And she's going to be that next year, even though she's graduating.
She's staying here for college, so she's still taking part of it. But
Okay,
basically
but
her
I'm
job.
not going to be like just for one club. I'll be for
all of them.
Exactly.
Do you guys have any questions?
So what causes like a genetic thing? So like that.
They don't know exactly. They do know that if a family member has had it, you are predisposed to it. It's not 100% certain that you're going to get it, and they don't know exactly where it originates from. The only thing they know is that if your parents had it or your grandfather had it, you're more likely to have it. Yeah.
On a sidebar, Operation Smile does conduct research on their patients about hepatitis and cat flips, and they're one of the main contributors of the data that goes into the research.
¿Ustedes todavía tienen tiempo?
You want to see a video?
Sure.
Dale para atrás. Sí.
Sí.
Oh, oh, yeah. Take a picture of it.
Again.
Keep going. To the
The
beginning.
first slide.
Not the first one.
Oh, Jesus. That one. No.
Next one.
There
There.
we go.
Here, everybody.
Is there sound?
That's you.
Yeah, I know there's
Right
music,
now.
but like, is there sound?
Okay, pause.
What?
Smart board.
That's a dumb board.
Why go back?
I don't think the speaker is plugged in.
Tech problems.
This room is cursed, guys. We're presenting here. Go crazy.
Yeah, it's a silent.
It's a silent movie.
Well, it's basically a little.
If you guys want, Operation Smile is part of an expert panel in 5 minutes if you want to come check it out. So Student Organization Partnerships.
Yes, to go to. That's what basically what goes on during a mission.
Yeah.
Did you see a little baby in the Do you guys have any more questions? Nothing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So they don't, I don't understand. No tienen como paladar, they don't have.
Instead of the palate, what they have is a hole. And that leaves food that goes up there that creates bacteria in there. It's a mess because they can't process and chew. Right?
When you touch it, what do you touch?
Nothing.
It's a hole.
It's not
No, yeah, but you don't know.
Your tongue. Okay, you're gonna touch your nasal cavity. So occasionally when they're little babies, well, they can't drink milk, and if it goes up their hole, they choke on it.
So then how do they eat?
A intravenous dip, suero. And they also help create special thing that goes in the bottle for the chupete for the bottles. For them to feed.
So can people like develop it in their life, or are they only born with it?
No, you're born with it. We had a patient that was turned to a World Care patient. World Care is a hospital that Virgin Smile runs in Virginia. She had a cleft palate and she developed a disease inside of it. So it basically ate almost all her nose. So she basically had no nose. So they flew her to Virginia. She got 4 or 5 reparative surgeries there, and now she's being treated here. And we reconstructed her nose and.
But like, what happens if you don't treat it?
It's rarely people pass the first year of their lives without any type of care. But yeah, people live with it, but they're usually shunned from their communities. They're very low. Most of them don't have a successful life. Most of them are completely uneducated, illiterate. They don't have a healthy life. Quería preguntar algo. ¿Quieres saber mi experience?
Yes.
Okay.
¡Vamos, Dani!
Yo no creo que tiempo.
Yeah, there's.
A las 5:30.
Yeah, we're out of time.
Si me quieren me pueden preguntar.
5:32.